The Dream Machine's DM2 Supreme is the refresh of the DM2 Comfy, a gaming mouse that was known for being very comfortable among other things. The shape of the mouse is familiar as it has been used with the Myonix Naos 7000 all the way back in 2014. The ergonomic shape places the mouse a bit on the wider side, but this is done for a reason, as the DM2 Supreme offers a great support for all of your fingers and the hand overall. The before mentioned shape has been used with other gaming mice, such as the Myonix, and there is a good reason for that, as this shape is one of the best around in terms of ergonomics. The wider shape not only provides a better base for your hand to sit on, but it is curved towards the front clicks to better support your main two fingers when playing with the mouse. It is a little thing which usually gets passed unnoticed, but once you get to use the DM2 Supreme, you will understand, as both the front clicks have their edges curved upwards to hold your fingers better. The surface of the mouse is smooth, and that's mostly thanks to the made surface of the plastic shell. These type of surfaces are good to the touch even after long usage time, however there is a disadvantage. The made surface, no matter what you do, it will retain fingerprints and smudges among other things. This is the case with all matte surfaces on every gaming mouse, regardless of their price, as the matte coating is porous when compared with a plastic glossy surface. It is not by all means a bad thing, but you need to keep it in mind when making your purchase. The build quality and the fit and finish are good for the most part, but for some strange reason the side buttons have a massive panel gap. Such a big gap in fact that it allows for the light of the internal LEDs to shine through to the side of the mouse. This is surprising as the rest of the mouse is very well put together, as you will get to see in this review, but this is rather disappointing. Still speaking about the side buttons, by default these are mapped as forwards and backwards in most generic applications. However, with the included software you will be able to configure these buttons as macro switches and have them activate anything you'd want. The tactile feedback is good and the buttons are not mushy, however you will be surprised about how little force these buttons require to be pressed, almost too little when compared with the rest of the buttons present on the mouse. The scroll wheel is made out of plastic and is composed out of two sections, as is the case with most Dream Machine's gaming mice. The middle section is transparent to allow for the light and color of the internal LED to shine through and be visible. The top section is made from rubber and features a subtle linear pattern that aids with your grip when using the scroll wheel. Its rotation is smooth and the steps are noticeable. The middle click also offers a good tactile feedback when pressed, and there is no excessive play of the whole scroll wheel mechanism. As is the case with most gaming mice these days, above the scroll wheel there are two buttons. These have a glossy surface to be easier to identify while not looking directly at the mouse. The buttons are in fact the Dpi cycle switches and can go back and forth with the pre-installed Dpi profiles of the mouse. The said profiles can be customized through the software, but more on that later on into the review. These two buttons also have a good tactile feedback and are quite flat to not interfere with your hand grip. The back of the DM2 Supreme is simple, and if you weren't paying attention, you'd think you are looking at a different Dream Machine's mouse, as most of them, with a few notable exceptions, have more or less the same design at the back of the shell. Here only the Dream Machine's logo is present, and this logo is the second LED element on this entire mouse, the other one being the before mentioned scroll wheel. It is worth to note that these two LED illuminated components are illuminated in tandem and by default have a pulsing motion enabled. The important feature of the DM2 Supreme is, however, the right side of the mouse shell, which is giving the mouse this wider profile and creates a good fit for both a claw and a palm style grip. This side has two bumps that are shaped to fit your right side fingers. It will take a little bit of time to get used with the fact that with this mouse your fingers have an actual place where to sit, instead of being pushed against the side of the mouse, as is the case with most gaming mice that use a regular shaped shell. Now that we got most of the mouse covered, it's time to see what's going on inside, and for that you need to first peel off the Teflon made skates. Be careful when doing so, as you can create kinks in their surface and that will more or less ruin their performance. With all of the feet removed, you then have to remove 6 metallic screws and you're done. The mouse splits into 2 parts. The shell can be lifted upwards, revealing the inner works of the DM2 Supreme. The main clicks are made by Huano and are the model using a blue shell with a white plunger or top. These have an operating force of 70 grams more or less and have a reliability rating of 20 million clicks. The scroll wheel also uses a Huano made switch. This time a switch with a black shell with a white top is used. This switch is rated for a total of around 10 million clicks and is known to have a moderate operating force requirement. Its actual weight value I have yet to know for sure. In addition, the encoder of the scroll wheel is made by TTC. The side buttons require little to almost no force to actuate, which is not really that good as many people wanted good tactile feedback for their buttons. These buttons use a lever style system to connect the buttons themselves to the actual mechanical switch, which will remove a good deal of the tactile feedback. Speaking of the switches, the side ones are made by a company called LJ, a company which I have little to no information about. The main processing unit of the DM2 Supreme is a Holtec unit, as is the case with most if not all gaming mice present on the market right now. In addition, the cable of the mouse is using a connector, which means that it can be removed and replaced with ease. Still talking about the cable, it has a total length of 1.7 meters and is covered by soft textile sleeving, also known widely as shoelace style sleeving. The connector used is a standard USB 2.0 with a gold-plated surface for increased reliability and a bit of bling for the entire mouse. However, the main showpiece of this mouse is the Pixart PM3389 optical sensor. This sensor has a minimum DPI value of 200 and a maximum value of 16,000 DPI. The pulley rate starts at 125 Hz and goes up to 1000 Hz and can be customized within the software. As is the case with all reviews on this channel, before we head into the performance and testing, we have a noise sample of the buttons and switches of the mouse. This way you get to hear not only how everything sounds like, but the overall build quality of the mouse while it is being used, as some models will start to generate unwanted noises when pressure is applied on the casing. The software used by the DM2 Supreme is fairly simple in its design. It is also quite fast and responsive. The first page has a DPI adjustment which can be color coded for each of the levels. The left side of the first page allows for the button remapping, while the second page contains the settings of the mouse. This includes the LOD adjustment and the pulling rate adjustment, which is selected in steps, and those are 125, 250, 500 and finally 1000 Hz. Then there is the macro editor, which allows you to customize the functions of each button on the mouse. This includes starting up the application by just a flick of a button. While everything looks good, it is important to actually see how this mouse behaves when put to the test. And we start with a basic Microsoft Paint test. This test is done at 3 DPI settings to not only see the differences between those speeds, but also to see if any issues arise. As you can see, there is no lens rattle present and everything is consistent even at 16,000 DPI. Using the mouse tester software, we get a better picture of the sensor performance. With the DPI set at a value of 400, this test is mostly to see the amount of smoothing the sensor applies and the amount of delay it has, while at this DPI value. As you can see, the smooth curve displayed here shows the good performance of the Pixart PM3389 optical sensor, as the line itself is smooth with no jitter or kinks. With a price of around $29.99 US or euros, the Dream Machine's DM2 Supreme is a very good value mouse, especially since it uses the Pixart PMW3389 optical sensor, which is often found on higher priced gaming mice. The other features of this mouse is the shape, and I will not get into a debate on who had this shape first and who used it second. However, what I will say is that this is one of the best shapes a gaming mouse can have, as it is balanced and can be used with both a claw and a palm grip styles. Unfortunately, this shape makes the DM2 Supreme rather hard to use for those that use their left hands the most, the shape being suited for a right hand usage. This is something to consider when shopping for a mouse, not just this one. The overall performance is very good, thanks to the optical sensor and the lightweight casing used by the mouse. The cable is lightweight thanks to its textile shoelace sleeving and is plenty long, with a length of around 1.7 meters. The Huano Blue switches used for the main clicks offer a great tactile feedback and have a satisfying clicking noise, and the same can be said about the scroll wheel, both in terms of the middle click and the rotational of the wheel. The software is basic, but it works just fine and it never crashed on me while I was testing this mouse. The lightning is there, but it is not exactly the new RGB system everyone wants nowadays, and that's great on my side, as it means that most of what you are paying for is going towards the actual performance of the mouse and not useless gimmicks. The DM2 Supreme is then a good choice for a budget gaming mouse. While being affordable, this mouse has a good optical sensor with good mechanical switches and a great build quality if you don't count the side buttons. If you like this review, then you can perhaps consider subscribing for more, and if you want to support the channel in a direct way, then in the description below they are listed both the Patreon and subscriber star pages of the channel.